Okay, everyone. I want to thank everyone for subscribing, and here's something to show you. Look at this. Christopher's abandoned doing baccarat. Now he's going back to blackjack. He wants to call himself the Blackjack King. Gee, what does that tell you? That tells you that he never made a lot of money in baccarat. He only made money from people who gave him money to join his club. So now he's abandoned baccarat. Now he's playing blackjack. If you watch some of his old videos, he was playing blackjack. And here's something that's funny. He put out a challenge saying he wanted to bet against somebody who's a card counter. And, you know, I've seen Colin Jones's website, Blackjack Apprenticeship. I like that strategy. I like that idea of counting cards, especially when you can watch Blackjack Apprenticeship's videos on YouTube for free, and they'll show you the basics of card counting. You could almost take the information he gives you and apply it to card counting, but what you'd rather do is join his membership, because he's got free videos on his website, Blackjack Apprenticeship, that shows you how to count cards. Now, counting cards does not mean you walk into the casino and you win $2,000 today. No, that's not what counting card is. Don't let those movies fool you. But card counting over the long term grows. It's like the S&P 500. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, but it constantly goes up on a trajectory. So you may win $1,000 this week, you may lose $700 next week. You may win $300 the following week, and then, you know, $700 the following week, and then lose $1,000. And then, you know, it'll go up and it'll go down, but on an upward trajectory. That's called EV, expected value. It works. And what's the basics of card counting? Is basic strategy. He's saying no, casinos made up basic strategy. No, they didn't. Mathematicians made up basic strategy based on the cards and the odds. It has nothing to do with the casinos wanting you to take your money. They made up that strategy. They made up the strategies printed in casinos, and you can get those cards. It's done so you can play your best blackjack game. That doesn't say you won't win playing basic strategy. You might. That's called variance. Variance in the cards. A card counter can see when the variance is coming and the odds change to the player's hand, but sometimes the average player could sit down at the opening of a deck and it could be stacked with tens and aces right in the beginning, and they don't know. I wouldn't know even if I was a card counter. You can win. If you sat down and you place $100 bets and you suddenly won $1,000 in like half an hour, you'd probably get up and leave, unless, you know, you're the kind of gambler who thinks that's going to happen all the time. So it's possible to make a little money. Doesn't mean it's going to happen every time. But if you card count over the long term, that will work. And here's Christopher Mitchell. What is he saying? Don't ever split. I mean, the first rule of basic strategy is split aces and eights. And what did he say in this video? I'm not going to go through the video. You can watch it yourself. But he says, never split anything. Even aces, even eights. You've got two aces and the house is showing a 6. You're throwing money away if you don't split that. You always split them anyway. If they show an ace, if the house shows an ace, you're going to know if it's a blackjack because you're going to lose. But if you have two aces, even if he has a 20, if he has a 10 there, your odds of hitting one of those two at a blackjack are pretty good. So he's saying never split eights. Well, does anybody know the worst hand in blackjack? It's a 16. And what do you get when you get 8 and 8? You get 16. That's why you split eights. Because anything is better than a 16. You split those two and you draw as 4s, you've still got a 12. You've got a better hand than you would have if you had stuck with your 16. But anyway, let's forget about that for a second. But this is just more proof that Christopher Mitchell is simply trying to get money from people, not from casinos, from people. He stated a long time ago he moved into this place, he was going to buy it, but that hasn't happened yet. Of course he would do a video saying he bought the house. I guarantee you all that furniture is rented. He moved out there in an RV, nothing wrong with that, but he is only getting money from people who join his inner circle. He's not getting a lot of money from his YouTube views. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to inform people not to join his group. Okay? I don't have near enough views to get any money. He hasn't made much money off YouTube, I can tell you. Check out how much money you make. He's got maybe 1,000 or 1,000,000 views, which is worth about $10,000. I think he's got 1.6, so at the very most, you would get $16,000 for that. He's been doing that for a while. That's not a lot of money. If it's $1,000 a month, he barely pays his rent. He pulls on your heartstrings by showing his baby. But he doesn't care about the people he takes $500 from or $1,000 from. I believe he's asking for $1,000 now. And there's some guy probably in Macau who knows that they play a lot of baccarat there and he wants to win. So he's going to send his last bit of money he made to Christopher Mitchell. And Christopher Mitchell doesn't care that that guy had to do some horrible things to get that $500. And what happens now? He's kicked out of his Facebook group and now he's got to play blackjack like Christopher Mitchell, which is a loser strategy. He does a little demo in this video showing how he wins, but he doesn't keep all the stats on. He uses 3 hands of blackjack. He's playing his way in the middle, and the 2 outsides he's playing basic strategy. But he doesn't keep track of how many times a basic strategy wins. And ironically, I watched it, and the basic strategy hands won more than he won. And if you had flat bet his the basic strategy on the way he dealt the cards, you probably would have made more money than he did, you know, martingaling it. And he's back to the martingale. That tells you this guy does nothing but lie to try to get people to join his group. He wants people to give him money so he can show you how to play blackjack. Guess what? He showed you. Play no-bust blackjack. That's his strategy. Martingale it. That's his strategy. I want you to go on to a online casino, the free one. Don't even go on the ones you pay. Just try it there. Whatever he says, try it there. You know, martingale your way up to $1,500, $1,600. See, when you lose that, you'll see what happens. I would never tell you to card count and martingale. No way. The cards, there could be 5 blackjacks waiting to hit the dealer against your 20s. I've seen it happen. I've played blackjack like that. I've played, you know, not a lot of money, but I martingaled my bets from $1 because there's a real cheap online blackjack game in up here, and it got to $64 and I lost. And I drew a 20 on the very last hand, and I thought, oh, I'm going to win my last bet. This is it for me. This wasn't my bankroll. It was simply I'd set a limit on 64, which is $127. I was trying, you know, this is long before Christopher Mitchell. I was just trying to play blackjack in kind of my own no bust. I would hit on 12s against 10s and stuff, but it wasn't perfect basic strategy by any stretch of the imagination. And it wasn't perfect basic strategy, but I easily lost about $127 doing it. I mean, it was a lesson worth learning, that playing no bust doesn't always work. It might work once in a while, but it doesn't always work. Over the long term, you would lose more money. Like, he wants to put out a challenge saying, I'll take on anybody in blackjack. But let me give him my terms. Say, okay, let's see Colin Jones come up against you, and you guys play together in the same casino with cameras watching you, and record over a month how much each of you make. I guarantee you Colin would wipe the floor clean with him. He would lose his bankroll. In a month, keep the bets the same. Christopher can martingale, but I mean keep the base bet the same. I guarantee you a card count. I would rather see it over a year, to be honest with you. You get that better variance over a year, because he couldn't sustain this over a year. He's sitting here talking about you could, for the rest of your life, you could make $2,000 a day. That's bull. There's no way you could play no bust and make that every single day for the rest of your life. Do it over, I'd say in a month you'd lose your bankroll. Guaranteed over 6 months you'd lose your bankroll. And in a year, a card counter could double their bankroll. I'm not saying they will, but there's a real good chance they could double their bankroll in a year. Just depends on how many games they play and how their EV goes and how their, there's factors in card risk of ruin. If you're conservative, you want your risk of your ruin being 1%, which means if there are 100 people doing what you're doing, only one of them will lose their bankroll. But if you want to be aggressive, you can go to a 30%, way more riskier. That means 30%, 30 and 100 people would lose their bankroll playing the way you play. So one of those two card counters could definitely make a lot more money than he could do over a year. But I know he's a cheat, so he would never do he would never want to do the challenge fairly. He would want to set it to his terms, and his terms wouldn't favor a card counter. And that would be wrong, because okay, he's saying you could make $2,000 a day. There is a chance he could go into a casino and make $2,000 a day, 20 hand plus, getting up to a plus 20 and $100 bets. There's definitely a chance if you have the big enough bankroll to martingale it. There's also a chance he could lose everything. But like I've said before, you never see him bet live. He swore up and down he was never gonna, don't ever play online. And then what did he do? He started playing online. It's lies and lies and more lies. Don't believe it. Like I said, I don't care about the videos where people say he was gay and he did porn. I don't care about that. Don't waste your money trying this. It's ridiculous. Don't waste your money. It's nice to think that I could go into a casino and win that much money, but it can't. It's just too risky. You got a greater chance of losing your bankroll here. So don't give him any money, that's for sure, because he's offering his information free on YouTube. Oh, you want to know his other tips? Large bankroll, leave after one win, don't be greedy. His whole website is dedicated to being greedy, but he says don't be greedy. His whole YouTube channel, I mean. So don't listen to this con artist, and save your money. Have a nice day.